It was a dark and stormy night, and Emily was home alone. She was enjoying a quiet evening, watching TV and eating popcorn, when she heard a knock at the door. She wasn't expecting any visitors, but she got up to answer the door anyway. When she opened the door, she saw a tall, imposing figure standing on her porch. The figure was dressed in a long black coat and a wide-brimmed hat that obscured his face. Emily couldn't see who it was, but she felt a sense of unease. "Can I help you?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. The figure didn't respond. He simply stepped into the house and closed the door behind him. Emily tried to run, but the figure was too fast. He grabbed her by the arm and dragged her into the living room. "Who are you?" Emily screamed, struggling to free herself from the figure's grasp. The figure removed his hat, revealing a face that was twisted and distorted. Emily recoiled in horror. It was a monster, a creature unlike any she had ever seen. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and its mouth was filled with razor-sharp teeth. The monster spoke, its voice a low, menacing growl. "I am the uninvited guest," it said, "and I have come to claim what is mine." Emily didn't understand what the monster meant, but she knew that she was in grave danger. She tried to run, but the monster was too fast. It chased her through the house, its claws scraping against the walls. Finally, Emily found herself backed into a corner. She had nowhere to go. The monster loomed over her, its breath hot and fetid. "You belong to me now," the monster hissed. "You will serve me for all eternity." Emily closed her eyes, bracing herself for the worst. But then something strange happened. The monster began to shimmer, and then it disappeared, leaving Emily alone in the room. Emily didn't know what had just happened. She was shaking with fear and confusion. She didn't know if she had escaped the monster's grasp, or if it was just waiting for her somewhere else. Days passed, and Emily tried to go on with her life. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. She heard strange noises at night, and sometimes she caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure out of the corner of her eye. Then one night, Emily was woken up by a tapping at her window. She got out of bed and peered out into the darkness. She saw a figure standing outside, its face obscured by a hood. "Who are you?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. The figure lifted its hood, revealing a face that was familiar to Emily. It was her own face, twisted and distorted like the monster from before. "I am the uninvited guest," the figure said, "and I have come to claim what is mine." Emily tried to run, but the figure was too fast. It grabbed her by the arm and dragged her out of the house. Emily knew that she was trapped, that there was no escaping the uninvited guest. And then, suddenly, she woke up. It had all been a nightmare, a terrible, terrifying dream. Emily breathed a sigh of relief, glad to be free of the monster's grasp. But then she heard a tapping at her window. She looked outside, and she saw a figure standing there, its face obscured by a hood. "I am the uninvited guest," the figure said, "and I have come to claim what is mine." Emily screamed, and she woke up again. She was in her bed, in her room, in her house. It was all just another nightmare. Emily tried to calm down, telling herself that it was just a dream, and that it wasn't real. But then, she heard a knock at her bedroom door. Emily sat up in her bed, her heart pounding in her chest. She hesitated for a moment, wondering if she should answer it. But the knocking continued, growing louder and more insistent. Emily got out of bed and slowly approached the door. She could feel a sense of dread building inside her, but she knew that she had to open it. She reached for the doorknob, turned it, and pulled the door open. Standing in the doorway was the uninvited guest, its twisted and distorted face leering at her. Emily tried to run, but the monster was too fast. It grabbed her by the arm and dragged her out of the house, into the dark and stormy night. Emily never returned home. The police searched for her, but they never found any trace of her. Some say that she was taken by the uninvited guest, that it claimed her as its own. Others say that she simply disappeared, swallowed up by the darkness. But every once in a while, on a dark and stormy night, people claim to see a figure standing outside their windows, its face obscured by a hood. And they hear a voice low and menacing saying, "I am the uninvited guest, and I have come to claim what is mine." No one knows what became of Emily, but the legend of the uninvited guest lives on. Some say that the monster still roams the earth, looking for new victims to claim. Others say that it's just a myth, a story told to scare children. But there are those who claim to have seen the uninvited guest, who have felt its cold, clammy hand on their skin. They say that the monster is real, and that it's only a matter of time before it comes for them. For Emily, it was too late. She was caught off guard, alone and vulnerable. But for those who know the legend of the uninvited guest, there is still time to prepare. They lock their doors and windows at night, and they pray that the monster won't find them. But deep down, they know that the uninvited guest is always watching, always waiting. And they know that no matter how hard they try, they can never truly be safe from its grasp. Years went by, and the legend of the uninvited guest began to fade. People moved on with their lives, and the fear of the monster slowly dissipated. But then, strange things started happening again. People reported seeing a hooded figure lurking outside their windows at night, and they heard strange whispers in the darkness. Doors and windows would open and close on their own, and people felt a presence in their homes when they were alone. The fear began to spread once more, and people started to wonder if the uninvited guest had returned. But no one knew for sure, and no one dared to venture outside after dark. One night, a group of teenagers decided to test their bravery by going out to the old abandoned house where Emily had lived. They wanted to see if the legend of the uninvited guest was true, or if it was just a myth. As they approached the house, they heard strange noises coming from inside. They hesitated for a moment, but then one of them dared the others to go in. They entered the house, their flashlights illuminating the dark and dusty rooms. As they walked through the house, they began to feel a sense of unease. It was as if they were being watched, and they could hear something moving in the shadows. But they pressed on, determined to find out the truth about the uninvited guest. They reached the room where Emily had been taken, and they saw something that made their blood run cold. The uninvited guest was standing there, its hooded figure looming over them. They tried to run, but it was too late. The monster had claimed them as its own, and so the legend of the uninvited guest lived on, more terrifying than ever before. No one knew what became of the teenagers who had ventured into the abandoned house that night. but it was said that they were never seen again. The uninvited guest still roams the earth, waiting for its next victim. And those who hear the whispers in the night and see the hooded figure lurking outside their windows know that they can never truly be safe. The uninvited guest is always watching, always waiting, and it's only a matter of time before it comes for you.